you know, very, very interestingly, growing up, and even today, you know, when we look at popular culture, there are certain bodies that are privileged and certain bodies that aren't privileged. Now, we know that there are subgroups that do privilege this body, but, you know, mainstream, not so much. And, you know, historically. So, like, growing up, the whole sex thing and sexuality, because I was so focused on doing bad things to my body, I wasn't worthy of love and worthy of giving my body to another person or people. And yeah, I tried to keep my body covered, big clothes, nothing form-fitting, and it was working in theater, and you know, the pivotal moment for me was doing Gypsy and not having a choice, having a costumer say, this is what you're going to wear, and there wasn't much to it, and having to begin to make peace with my body and peace with this costume. Now, through that process, you know, it's so interesting, especially when I do this at schools, because, like I said, once again, popular culture, we don't necessarily see this body unless it's a before picture. Yeah. And then, oh, the after. So, you know, so I showed part of my trunk to my stomach, my boobies, to you today. And doing this in university settings in the classrooms, it's really, really interesting because folks don't see this body. They don't see this body on television. They don't see it in the movies. And this is a body that I'm trying to share. It's not a scary body. So in vain, you know, Tim Miller making connection, and Tim Miller being naked when he's performing, and going to Annie Sprinkle and, you know, the public cervix. And you know, I want to make connection, and I want folks to touch this body, to feel this body, not to be scared of this body. This is a soft body. This is a yummy, desirable body. It's a, you know, okay, it's more than just fucking. It's the sensuality. Don't be scared. Embrace. It's not to be feared. And so that's one of the reasons why when I perform, yeah, it is showing. It's yeah, don't be scared. It's quite nice.
One thing I'll throw out there also that you won't really get in the book or talking about is editing it. It's an expressly American collection, and that was made. It was a conscious choice after I couldn't get Tracy Emin. So, but then it made sense. Like I couldn't have one British artist or one French artist without all of a sudden having other cultures brought up, and that's just self-destruction in other cultures is a very different thing as bodies and sex. I was talking to a woman on the plane the other day, and she was, you know, a larger woman, and she's like, well, I go to Jamaica because they love me there. You know what I mean? And the ways that sex is understood in different cultures is something. So when you're looking at this, we don't talk a lot about it being American collection, but it is American women and that story. Let me throw out one more question because I know that they're going to want to close up fairly soon. And this one is going to be just a bit more, I'm not quite sure how to phrase this, but almost in terms of gender. This is about women that have dealt with self-destruction. And I know gender is different than sexuality, but there is obviously a lot of overplay because women have sex. And, you know, Nicole Blackman in her piece, she talks about how women, when they self-destruct, well, when men do, they say, fuck you, and women go, fuck me, and they internalize it. So I wanted to sort of bring it to the three of you really quickly, especially because I'm getting a lot of questions with this. What do you think the difference is between maybe female, can you just talk about gender and self-destruction? So I'll throw it out like that because they'll answer it smarter than I asked it. Watch. So does anyone have a way that they want to start off with, or maybe not? Maybe
I do actually. Yeah, I can start. Well, the first thing that this makes me think of is one of the other things that if I hadn't been writing about this one specific thing in my history that I might have tackled instead was the whole issue of me being really profoundly shy when I was a kid and a young adult. And really well into my 20s, I was not comfortable picking up the phone and making a phone call. I was scared to talk to strangers, and I certainly didn't feel like I could put out, as I said in another context, I was lucky to be growing up as a female in the 70s, where even a pathologically shy person could have a fair amount of sex if she just stood around. So, you know, I benefited, if that's the right word, from this tendency, and it had a fair amount of sex, and as I made really clear in this essay, really valued, really privileged sex. That would be one way of putting it in the kind of context that Stephanie's talking about. Really privileged sexuality as a locus of learning and understanding, and from the point of view of a shy person, locus of understanding of other people and connection with other people. And I think I saw it as the place where shyness could dissipate. And it turned out that I could be pathologically shy and fucking all at the same time. It's a little challenging. But one of the things that I probably could have written about and delved into more was how this shyness issue impacted me and how I understood my potential and my possibilities from this perspective. And I'm actually rewriting exhibitionism for the shy right now. I mean, I tackled that head on too in this context of sexuality. I really unlearned discomfort with sexual communication in a peep show, as well as with Robert. And so I went to the place where it would be most challenging, and I just, you know, immersed myself. But I really think that there is a gendered element to that whole I can't come out piece. I know there are shy guys. I'm not trying to suggest that shyness is a female thing, but I really think there was a gendered piece to it. It had, when I think back, a lot to do with trying to put my voice out at a fairly young age and not feeling heard and feeling squelched, hi Dad, and not feeling like I could speak. And so really taking that on and doing just exactly what Nicole described, and bringing it back inside me and taking that identity on. Because I wasn't like that when I was 9 years old. I didn't turn out to be that way, as the feminists have pointed out over and over again in women's studies classes, until I hit puberty, and then I had this teenage period especially to struggle with that set of issues. And I think that many, many women have the same, sort of that same period and bring it in that way.